right. Well, good. Saturday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and we have some cooler weather to talk about. As you can see by the screen right now, relief from the extreme heat is finally on the way. Yes, a cold front will be moving through as we go into the next couple of days, and we finally will be talking about some relief from this extreme heat 100 to 110 to 115 degrees. Finally, relief is on the way. So, what's on tap for tonight? What are we going to talk about? Well, active shower and thunderstorm activity continues all the way through into next week. Dangerous heat persists Sunday with heat advisories in effect for tomorrow already. Also, temperatures drop below normal Monday and Tuesday behind the cold front, and we will return obviously back to the seasonal summer warmer than average temperatures by mid to late week. All of that we're going to go on and talk about. So if you've not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go on and do so. It is free. It is free. It is free. So starting off, what's currently going on? Well, statewide, we're looking at some nice dry conditions. We're not seeing any sort of rainfall really anywhere throughout the state. But if we see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., obviously not all of that could be said, as we have some flooding going on in parts of Kentucky, Tennessee maybe getting in on some as well. We also have some rainfall in North Carolina, Virginia, some storms in Arkansas, some flash flooding in Arkansas, some flash flooding in Oklahoma, where there even is some severe weather. Some more severe weather down there in Arizona, even New Mexico, receiving some rainfall. But overall, the West and just the northern U.S. doesn't really look that bad in terms of rainfall. Now, what about cloud cover? Well, cloud cover right now seems to be going on in a good amount of the state, from the upstate down to the Midlands, over inside the low country areas, the Grand Strand areas. Cloud cover definitely is going on. And so it's not really the most in terms of the entire state receiving cloud cover. I think that there definitely is a good amount of clear spots going on. And we'll talk about that once we get towards the crazy score as well, because the crazy score also is impacted by cloud cover. And so that kind of all adds together, and I'll show that in just a moment. But before we get to that, what's going on in terms of our cloud cover for the future? Well, as we push this into tonight, moving on later into tomorrow morning, cloud cover continues to push its way down from the northwest down to the southeast. Even as you move to around 8, 9, 10 a.m., all the way to around 12 o'clock p.m., we're seeing some cloud cover moving in again from the northwest all the way down towards the southeast into the state, covering up the state even as you move into around 5 p.m. on Sunday. You all the way into 8 o'clock p.m., 9, 10 o'clock p.m. on Sunday. And again, cloud cover continues to stay throughout the state. Now, as you continue through Monday morning going into Monday afternoon, cloud cover activity once again actually seems to be a little bit more on the heavier side. So I think cloud cover is trying to actually stay kind of relevant throughout the state, the entire state, as we move later on into Monday or so. Now, what about for our current temperatures? We're talking about 86 in Somerville, 86 Charleston, even 87 in Beaufort, 85 in Orangeburg, and 86 in Conway, 87 Myrtle Beach, and 86 in Georgetown, 84 Florence and Lugoff, even 82 in Newberry, 81 Lawrence, and 82 in Greenville, 80 Spartanburg, and 79 in Gaffney, York, and Rock Hill. Now, what about for our air quality? Well, it looks like for the majority of us, we're all inside the good category. But if you look in that more lower low country area, you see a good amount of people inside that yellow moderate area. If you are in that yellow moderate area, that means that you have a not too good air quality index, but also not too bad air quality index. So it looks like that you're kind of just in the middle between good and unhealthy for sensitive groups. And so if you're out there for a long period of time tonight in that yellow area, please make sure that you are paying attention. Now, low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about 73 in Greenville, 72 Spartanburg, 75 Columbia and Sumter, as well as 73 in Kingstree, 76 Georgetown, and 77 in Myrtle Beach, 80 in Charleston, 81 in Hilton Head Island, and 74 in Aiken, Barnwell, and Walterboro. High temperatures for tomorrow, we're talking about 90 in Greenville, 89 in Spartanburg, 91 in Winsboro, 95 in Columbia, 95 Orangeburg, and 96 in Moncks Corner, 93 in Charleston, and 95 in Georgetown, 91 Myrtle Beach, and 97 in Hilton Head Island, 97 inside of Walterboro. And then for those heat index values for tomorrow, it's going to be hot, hot. 107 in areas of the Midlands, 109 to 110 in areas of the Low Country, maybe around 107 near like the Georgetown areas, 102 near the Myrtle Beach areas as well. So it's going to continue to stay. It's going to continue to stay pretty hot, even as we get into tomorrow, and as we continue on throughout the future until we get into like that Monday and Tuesday or so, which is pretty much just tomorrow. So all of that kind of adds up because I just said at the beginning that there were some heat advisories that were in effect, and obviously, if I go on and check and see the counties, obviously we have a heat advisory over here for Berkeley County, Beaufort, Colleton, Charleston, Coastal Jasper, and then also tidal Berkeley counties are included in there. That's for heat index values of up to 112 degrees. So those counties, inland Berkeley, Beaufort, coastal Colleton, Charleston, coastal Jasper, and tidal Berkeley is included in this heat advisory for tomorrow from the National Weather Service at Charleston here. Now, if we go on and take a look at our rainfall for the next 24 hours, it looks like actually a good amount of rainfall could fall. 1/10 of an inch to a 1/10 of an inch for areas like Barnwell, 1/10 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch for Greenwood, going into Anderson, Lawrence, Greenville, even around Hilton Head Island. We have a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 an inch for Walterboro, Moncks Corner, Georgetown, Florence, 1/2 an inch to an inch, maybe even for areas like Charleston and Myrtle Beach. So, I mean, definitely a good amount of areas could get some good beneficial rainfall here as we move throughout the next 24 hours, and especially, where the thunderstorms are the hardest at. We saw a good amount of thunderstorms today. I got around 0.2 inches of rainfall today, so not a lot, but rainfall is rainfall. And again, that was just for today. I mean, we're not even including yesterday, where yesterday I got around a good 0.75. So I got around an inch of rain overall from including yesterday and then today. And then if we include the day before, not much, but still adds up a little bit to the total. Now, the SPC outlook for tonight, usually they update at around 9 o'clock, but they decided to be nice and uploaded around 25 minutes ahead of schedule, so we actually have it here. And we just have a regular thunderstorm risk for tonight. Looks like just regular thunderstorms are possible, and honestly, there still is a chance of thunderstorms. They just issued a special weather statement over here inside of the very southern tip of South Carolina, like the very, very, very southern tip of South Carolina, right there on that border of South Carolina and Georgia, right next to Savannah. That's like the New River, that's the Walls Cut, that's the Wright River, also the Fields Cut area. Those areas are now in a special weather statement for 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, so that's possible. So thunderstorms are still possible, and the ingredients are still in the atmosphere for it. Tomorrow's going to be a pretty active day statewide. We have a slight risk of severe weather from Greenville to Spartanburg to Columbia to Charleston to Florence to Myrtle Beach. I mean, thunderstorm activity definitely is expected for us tomorrow, and there's a good chance that we can have some scattered severe storms going on. Now, what are the risks associated with it? Well, we know that tornadoes not really too much of a factor here. Hail is not a factor. It's the wind. Once again, if you're in the yellow, you have a 15% risk of damaging winds, and if you're in the green, you have a 5% risk of damaging winds, isolated damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour. And then day 3, guess what? Another marginal risk of severe weather for Columbia, Aiken, Charleston, Hilton Head Island. A lot of these areas continuing to see thunderstorm activity, and this could definitely expand as we go more and more into the future. No fire weather. Excessive rainfall is, again, another issue that we have here. Isolated flash flooding over here from Greenville going all the way through to Anderson, Rock Hill going into Columbia, all the way over into Myrtle Beach. And then if you look up here in the yellow, a 15% risk of flash flooding from Pickens to Walhalla all the way over into Clemson. And then as you move into tomorrow, so that was for tonight, this is tomorrow. Slight risk of excessive rainfall in the yellow. That's a 15% risk of flash flooding. And if you're in the green, which is a bit more of the southern, more western areas, you have a 5% risk of flash flooding. This is Monday. Everybody, isolated flash flooding is possible. Tuesday, again, another round of isolated flash flooding is possible all the way from like Edgefield, Aiken, down all the way into the low country areas. And then on Wednesday, we're finally done. So flash flooding, severe weather, all going to be areas of concern as we move throughout the rest of the weekend going into early next week. The crazy score. The crazy score, we were in the calm category, but remember, we just got that special weather statement down there at the very southern tip of the state, so now we're at a 17 in the mild category. Nothing too bad right now. Nothing too bad right now. But we do have that special weather statement down there in the southern tip of the state. So let's see what's going on right now in terms of our models. What's going on in terms of the models? We're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. here on Saturday. And as we just go in and push this forward, you can see that as we continue through to around 4 o'clock in the morning, we're still looking at some pretty dry activity going on. But then watch as we get to around 7 a.m. We start to see some shower activity, maybe even some downpour activity going on in areas like the upstate, going on in areas of the Midland areas as well. And then even as you go into the afternoon, around 12 o'clock p.m. on Sunday, now we're looking at some rainfall activity and maybe even some thunderstorm activity as we move into the upstate, going on over into around like the 3 o'clock p.m. time frame. I mean, look at some of these storms that are moving through. I mean, again, these storms will be capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with them, and they can stretch all the way from the upstate down towards the coastal areas as early as 2, 3 p.m. And then it will definitely continue as you go into the evening hours, and then as you go to around 10 p.m., going all the way to 12 a.m. I mean, look at some of these showers and storms that get going as you get even late night, 12 a.m. Still a lot of rainfall. So I do think that the crazy score tomorrow night, at least, will be pretty high. Now, as you all the way to around 3 a.m., 4, 5 a.m. or so going into Monday morning, things definitely calm down a lot. But once again, Monday, isolated flash flooding isolated flash flooding and isolated severe storms are again back in the question once again. So, I mean, and I didn't even talk about the scattered flash flooding risk as well as we move into tomorrow as well. So, a lot of things to watch for. Now, usually, we sometimes may go on and look at the ingredients, and I mean, just checking out the moisture first. We can definitely see that the moisture is here. Moisture is here. That's a check on the board. In terms of the 500 millibar winds, I mean, usually you check this out for when it comes to like tornadoes and any type of event like that, but you're not really seeing too much here until maybe like later on. But I'm not really seeing too much in like the upper atmosphere here. But again, I mean, you can see some, but not a whole lot. But again, that's not really when it comes to the upper atmosphere, you're talking about really like a tornado threat or something like that to bring that lift up in the atmosphere and to bring some unstableness in the atmosphere. But obviously, damaging winds, not really, obviously not tornadoes or anything like that. And then if we go into the Cape levels, that definitely need Cape for damaging winds. And honestly, you can definitely see a good amount of Cape in the atmosphere. And also, it's just summertime. And, usually during the summertime, you have like a bunch of Cape going on over here inside of the atmosphere. And so, even if you go to around 2 p.m. here, this is 2, 3 p.m., huge amounts. I mean, 2,500 joules per kilogram in the atmosphere. That's a lot of Cape in the atmosphere. So some of these storms could definitely get pretty bad. And, not only that, but also you need to watch out for those temperatures, because if the temperatures, if they get going real quick, real fast, I mean, this is around 11 a.m., a lot of us in the 90s or so, some of us even in the mid to upper 90s at 11 a.m., according to the ARRR. If that is the truth, and that actually does happen, we can see some storms start to fire up a lot earlier. We can definitely start to see some storms kind of start to fire up a lot earlier. So, watching those temperatures as well, because the hotter it gets, the more that you're actually going to have that chance of some of those storms to get severe and to get going quickly and quicker. So now with the short term out the way, let's go on and talk about the long term. Let's go on and talk about the long term real quick. We're going to start off here at 2 o'clock p.m. on Monday. And just as we go on and push this forward, a good amount of rainfall moving in as we go into Monday, going into Tuesday. Just overall unsettled weather as we go into Monday and Tuesday, bringing in that flash flooding risk. And then as we move into those 2 days, cooler temperatures make their way in. But don't worry, they're not going to last too long, because as we make it into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or so, those temperatures are really going to start to get back up. And then, but showers and storms still will potentially be possible. Even as we move into next weekend, you can still see some rainfall moving through. Even as you move into Sunday or so, you have a good amount of rainfall still going in into the state. Now, as you get into Tuesday, going over into Wednesday and Thursday, looks like another little storm system may be trying to come in as we go into midweek of next week. Well, the week after next week, I should say, because today's Saturday. And then, everything else past that, it's a bit too far out to talk about, but it looks like a pretty active end to July. Could definitely be, upon us as we continue throughout the next 300 plus hours. So I definitely will be watching for that. We'll be seeing, the patterns and all that kind of stuff, seeing what the CPC has to say. And, speaking of what the CPC has to say, if we go to the Climate Prediction Center and we go to the next 8 to 14 days, so this goes all the way into around the 25th or so close kind of. You can see that they do have a little risk of us being above average. You can see a risk of us being above average, around a 33 to a 40% risk of being above average in terms of precipitation from July the 19th going into July the 25th. So I know, still a bit too far out. I mean, if we look at the next 3 to 14 days, I think they'll go all the way from July 25th to August the 7th. And even, they still have us around a 33 to a 40% risk of above average precipitation. So I do think for sure that the end of July going into early August, it could be pretty active. We'll see what happens as we move more into the future. But for right now, it could be a little bit more active. Definitely could be. So now back to the models we go, because as we go on and take a look at our ensembles, this is the GEFS, and again, just another piece of evidence that I can use over the next 384 hours, has us around 3 to maybe even 4 plus inches of rainfall for a couple of areas, and maybe not even for a couple, mainly almost statewide, has a lot of us getting around 3 to 4 inches of rainfall over the next 380 hours or so, which is good. We want to see that rainfall. We want to see this drought that we currently have, get out. We don't want to see it, staying. But even if we want to take a look at the European is on the same page, around 2.9, maybe up to around 3.6. I see a 4 up there as well. So I do think that both models are, are kind of like agreeing here. Both are showing some pretty high outputs here. So now temperatures. Temperatures as we move into the future. So as we go on and move this into Sunday, moving this over into, the later half of the weekend, I mean, you can already see the cooler temperatures starting to move in. This is Sunday at 8 o'clock p.m. We're already talking about around a good 16 degrees below average as we move into Sunday. You all the way into Monday, you go into Tuesday. I mean, cooler temperatures for sure. I mean, at 2 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, we're talking about areas around 17, 18, 19 degrees below average. So definitely a lot of people will be using their AC a lot less. Cars in their house. And just, it's going to be nice. And honestly, we could actually go outside during like 2, 3 o'clock p.m. and not immediately want to go back inside, because that's how, I mean, with high temperatures, I already saw a couple of high temperatures being up, in the 80s. For a lot of people. I mean, that's definitely work outside weather right there. So I definitely do think, and this is my statement here, this is my proclamation, if you want to get some yard work done Monday and Tuesday, unless it is raining, because, remember Monday and Tuesday is the day where it could be raining. If you do somehow manage to avoid a good amount of that rainfall, which, some people may happen, or if you go out there at the right time, you could definitely get some good work done outside if you really wanted to. And honestly, it's just going to feel good outside just in general, even if you don't, just want to work. Maybe if you want to do whatever you may want to do outside. It's definitely, the temperatures are going to be right for it. Wednesday, though, that shift already starts to make a difference. We're already 5 degrees above average, maybe even close to around 10 degrees above average as we move into Wednesday. Then as you go all the way into Thursday, going all the way into Friday, 10 to 15 degrees above average. Now, as we move into the weekend, again, we're back to being above average once again. You go all the way into, 216 hours out, all the way into not next week Monday, but the week after, we're still looking at some warmer temperatures trying to kind of dominate over this space. But with some cooler, with some more active activity, we may start to see some more cooler, some more cold fronts trying to move in. So, obviously, if we get more storm systems to move in, we'll start to see more cold fronts and we'll start to see more cooler conditions. So what about our actual temperatures? Well, as we move into tomorrow, we know that tomorrow is going to be hot, 99, 100 degrees. But then as we go into Monday, there we go. Monday at around 2 o'clock p.m., I see a lot of us around in the 80s. Some of us, still maybe a bit hot according to the GFS, but the GFS does seem, is mainly used for long term, not really too much of short term. Tuesday comes along, even cooler. Wednesday comes along, we're back into the 90s, but we're not unbearable, and that's one thing that I am seeing for Wednesdays. It's not really going to be quite as unbearable, but Thursday comes along, Friday comes along, and guess what? We're back up to 100 degrees plus, and that will continue all the way through into next weekend. Now, heat index values-wise, it looks like that we also will continue to be pretty warm, obviously, as we get into Monday and Tuesday. It won't be as prolific, but as we go into around Wednesday going into Thursday, we're back up to 105, 106, 107 degrees as we move into even next weekend. Now, what about for our actual GEFS? GEFS here, I'm not seeing, this is kind of just the ensemble to show us what our temperatures are actually looking like for the long-term future, because usually once you get around 200 hours out, things start to get a little bit unreliable, and so as we just go in and push this forward, temperatures, continue to stay hot, even as you move into the end parts of July, but I do see a little bit of a cool down starting to come through as we go maybe a little bit more into like the end parts of July, so I do think that we will continue to see a little bit of a cool down maybe as we get towards the end of the month again, just due to active activity, because remember what I said earlier, active activity, the more that we see, more active storm systems moving through, those storm systems come with cold fronts, it will make it cooler. And that's all that I have to say here for the models for the future, and just overall my full weather breakdown on why relief from the extreme heat is finally on the way. So the drought obviously did update. Obviously, I wasn't here on Thursday evening to go on and talk about it, but here's what the drought is currently looking like. We did have a bit of an expansion. It seems like that a good amount of Dorchester County is now back in a D3. Colleton County is back in a D3. Also areas like in eastern Hampton County's in there, Jasper County's, Eastern Allendale County's in there, a good amount of Berkeley County, and also all of Williamsburg, Southern Florence, Southern Marion, and even down in here, or over here in like the northern parts of the PD areas, starting to see that red up there. But the western side still looks like it stayed relatively the same, still in that D0, and just overall the upstate in general, but it looks like really just this Grand Strand area, PD area, Low Country area. This area really got hit the hardest, and seems like more drought conditions are starting to sprout up. So that's why I'm saying over and over again, rainfall, we need it. We need the rainfall. Rainfall is important for us, and we all should be rooting for rainfall, because obviously the more that we don't get that rainfall, obviously that's going to be the more drought conditions that we receive, and obviously we don't want to see any sort of drought conditions. Well, I would go on and say, let's go on and talk with the audience for tonight, but there's only one person. So let's go on and see what my Nana has to say for tonight. She's the only one on here. Says, hello, Jay. It rained by me several times today. Those mosquitoes and gnats were hungry after the rain. And so, well, I guess you were the only one that got the memo that I was going to be back tonight if you forgot or didn't know. I obviously was not here for the past couple of days, out of town. But I'm back now. I guess she was the only one that got the memo that I was back. So, honestly, usually I wouldn't do this early. But since you're the only one, and seem like you don't really have any competition tonight, I'm going to make it official that you're the top fan of the night for tonight just because you were here. So, let's go and give you a round of applause for that. And there was other people that did tune in, but nobody, left any sort of comments. Nobody, a couple of people did come by, hit the like button, but then I guess left afterwards. So, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say here. Nothing else really for me to talk about. So let's go and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 4 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. But we will not be talking about San Antonio. We won't be talking about San Antonio for, honestly, like the next 2 weeks or so. So really 3 areas, that being Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 3 areas because we have people here that tune in almost nightly, and because these people tune in almost nightly, we're going to give them their forecast for them. So we're going to start off with Raleigh first. Low temperatures tonight at 72. High temperatures for tomorrow at 89, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 70. There is a chance of thunderstorms for tonight and tomorrow, but tomorrow night, showers are expected, and you may even see a thunderstorm as well. So definitely could see some shower activity, or definitely could see some thunderstorm activity tomorrow, but showers are definitely expected tomorrow night. Now, severe weather for you. If you're on the southern side of Raleigh, you may have a little marginal risk there, but if you're on the northern side, just regular thunderstorms. Now, one thing I will tell you is that they usually do expand these marginal risk and slight risk, usually, and especially since it's summertime as well. So, I will say just, watch for it tomorrow. You could, see some isolated damaging winds. I think you definitely could see some strong winds, but isolated damaging winds could also be in the situation as well, since you're like literally right on that border of the marginal risk, and it pretty much almost splits Raleigh in half. Now, excessive rainfall wise, you also do have a risk of excessive rainfall tomorrow. Scattered flash flooding is possible. Monday, isolated flash flooding is possible. So tomorrow, 15% risk of flash flooding, and then on Monday, a 5% risk. Now, what about for your future? Well, it looks like right now that you will continue to stay active even as you go into around Tuesday or so. But once you hit Wednesday, things definitely get a lot more quiet. But then Friday and Saturday comes along, and you're back to being active once again. It's also going to continue to stay hot. I mean, I know you're around 89, and you'll even be at 81 on Monday. But don't worry, Wednesday, 95. Thursday, 97. Friday, 98. So it's going to continue to get back hot for you. Now for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at around 67, high temperatures for tomorrow at 87, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow night, or just really in your future in general until around Saturday, with a 30% chance of shower activity. Obviously, no severe weather, no excessive rainfall really is expected for you. And then in terms of your future, it's going to continue to get back to being hot. I know tomorrow, your high temperature 86, 87 or so. Monday 86, Tuesday 91, but then Wednesday seemed like you're going to be around 98. And then finally, the final location, Duncan, Oklahoma. You have low temperatures tonight at 75, high temperatures for tomorrow at 94, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 72. Chance of thunderstorms tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night. So chance of thunderstorms throughout the next 24 hours. And in terms of severe weather tomorrow, isolated damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour is possible. So make sure that you are aware there. And then excessive rainfall wise, you also do have isolated flash flooding that's possible tonight and tomorrow. Now, what about for your future? Looks like temperature-wise, you're going to continue to stay around, in the 90s or so, even as you go into midweek next week, and then as you go into around Friday and Saturday, you're going to be around 96, all the way up to around 98 on Saturday. And so that's pretty much all that I have to say here in terms of our actual forecast here for these 3 areas, now. But let's see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise. Well, severe thunderstorms capable of damaging winds will be possible from the Ozark Plateau east into portions of the southeast today. Rounds of heavy thunderstorms ahead of a slow-moving front will also continue. Locally heavy rainfall and scattered flash flooding potentials from the Ozarks to the Ohio and the Tennessee valleys today. So all of that kind of adds up with one another. For when it comes to this front, obviously, yes, cooler temperatures, but with that front, we're going to also see some potential for some severe weather, some excessive rainfall. And, that goes all the way from, again, like the Ozarks all the way down here to the southeast. And then it continues all the way into Monday. And then excessive rainfall-wise continues from tonight, again, to tomorrow. Again into Monday in areas like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. continues on Tuesday again over there in Texas, continues over there in Texas again on Wednesday, even over into like the Montana areas, all the way up into the Rockies. So a good amount of rainfall for sure, and not only that, but extreme heat will also be in the forecast up there in the northern plains, over into the northern, or the upper Midwest, I should say, all the way over into the Four Corners area, the Rockies, over into the Intermountain West as well. It just looks like a bunch of hot conditions will continue, even down into California. It will continue to be hot. So a lot of things to talk about here throughout the entire nation, but overall, that's pretty much the headlines of what's currently going on. We did have a bunch of storm reports today, which, by the way, you can check out if you want on the scweather360.com website. We had a bunch of reports. We had 50 storm reports today. 50 storm reports today. There was a lot, all the way from Oconee County down to Spartanburg County, Lawrence, Lexington counties, in Richland County over into like Columbia, over into Orangeburg, got some storm reports. Florence got some storm reports in like Johnsonville. Conway got a bunch of storm reports with a trampoline being blown over, fences being blown down in Conway. There was also some other concerns going on over there. Myrtle Beach got some storm reports as well. Dorchester County got some storm reports in St. George. Also inside of Knightsville, there was a tree that fell on a transformer and caught fire over there in Somerville. So a bunch of stuff happened today. A bunch of stuff happened, and honestly, the same thing could happen again tomorrow. So please make sure, please make sure that you are paying attention for this severe weather. You know, I know a slight risk may not be the highest, but it's definitely something that you should be paying attention for, no matter what. I mean, that's why here we take every severe risk seriously. Doesn't matter if it's the lowest of the low or the highest of the high. We take every risk seriously. So that's all that I have to say here. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, also hit the share button. We're at 766, trying to get to that main goal of 800. Also, share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, and people that you don't talk to regularly, because it's free. It's free. It's free. Also, make sure that you go on and check out my website, scweather360.com. Again, that is scweather360.com. That's all. I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Sunday morning forecast update. Please make sure that you tune in tomorrow evening for your Sunday evening forecast update for the week forecast of July the 12th going into July the 18th. Make sure that you're there for that.